You're supposed to feel stressed. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you about my system that I use to successfully productize my life. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Damian Alvarez. I am on a self-development journey. I share my findings with you here in hopes that you can get something out of it too. So, like I said in today's video, I'm going to tell you my systems and strategies for productizing my life. Now, before I found a system to productize my life and figure out how to successfully handle my stress and improve my stress tolerance, it was a complete mess. I constantly felt that I didn't know what I was doing. There was no rhyme or reason to the work that I was getting done, and ultimately no work was getting done. Right? I was jumping from task to task, not really completing anything, stopping in the middle of something and starting a new task, and leaving all these open loops every single day that was just stressing me the hell out, honestly. Stress tolerance is the number one thing that you have to get under control if you want to successfully do things in your life, in my opinion. I think that stress tolerance is the number one predictor of success, and without having a system to manage your stress and to productize your life, as I like to say, there is no way that you'll get to the state you want to be at. So like I said, when you are constantly jumping from task to task and never really finishing anything in your life, it honestly just clouds your brain and doesn't allow you to enter that deep flow state you need to successfully complete your task. So around 6-ish months ago, I developed a system that has allowed me to focus on tasks, manage my stress, give me an iron stress tolerance, as I like to call it, and allow me to close these feedback loops and successfully complete all the tasks I need to complete. So like I said, I believe the most successful people in the world are the ones who can handle the most stress. I think that's all you really need to get to where you want to go, to complete your goals, and to live a life that you want to live, ultimately. The more stress you can deal with, the bigger problems you can take on, the more complex problems you can solve, and the further along you'll get in your life, in my opinion. Now, if you don't believe me, just try to imagine how stressed people like Elon Musk or Bill Gates are. The thought leaders of today are incredibly stressed and they have very, very difficult problems to solve. And the only reason that I think that they're of the echelon of entrepreneur or of person that they are is because of the amount of stress that they are able to handle. Right? These guys make decisions worth billions of dollars every single day, and to think that they live a stress-free life or they worry about their mental health all the time is absolutely asinine, and there's no way that that's actually true. They run companies of thousands and thousands of people who rely on them to feed their families every single month. I don't think that they're living a stress-free life by any means. Now, one thing that I wanted to touch on is this concept of biting off more than you can chew. You constantly hear people talking about not biting off more than you can chew, only taking on a certain amount of problems to protect your mental health or to just be more efficient. And I think that it is complete bullshit, in my opinion. I think that you should bite off as much as you can and figure out a way to chew it. I tweeted about this the other day, and I said, you're often told don't bite off more than you can chew. No, bite off as much as you can and figure out a way to chew it. Stress breeds competency. And I think it's 100% true. I think the more stress that you can take on, the more problems that you can handle at one time, the more tasks that you can have in your brain running at one time, the more successful you'll be and the more competent you'll be ultimately. I think that you are only bottlenecking yourself if you live a life where you only take on 1 or 2 problems at a time and you want to live a stress-free life, because you're not letting your brain dive deep into these problems and solve them at a level that you know that you can. It's almost like going to the gym to train a muscle. How do you build up a muscle group? How would you build up your chest? You go in the gym, you destroy that muscle group, you put in as much pain as possible, and you let it recover, rest, and grow bigger. That's fundamentally what I think stress tolerance is. You take on more problems than you can solve, figure out a way to solve them, and thus increasing your stress tolerance. Once you get past your mental rest and recovery phase, you're able to solve more complex problems and figure out more difficult things because of it. Also, right now, there's a big push online for this weird 4-hour work week, or I only work 30 minutes a day, or some bullshit like that, the digital entrepreneurs are pushing. I think it's complete bullshit. If you're already looking for a way to work 4 hours a week when you don't even have a separate income or an online income at all, then you are just looking for an excuse to not do the work. It's going to take a lot more than 4 hours a week to get to where you want to go if you have big dreams and big aspirations. And to think that you can just come into this space or start an online business where you know nothing about online business and work 4 hours a week and somehow achieve this laptop lifestyle or a life of freedom is absolute bullshit. People that try to push this idea of a 4-hour work week or only working 30 minutes in the morning and somehow relaxing and resting the rest of the day, they're just trying to sell you their course. They usually have a program or a mentorship program that is centered around this lackadaisical lifestyle where you only work certain 30 minutes of the day and the rest of it spent relaxing and spending it laying in bed or whatever. This is not how the real world works. It takes a lot of work, especially up front, to build a business online. And to think that you're going to come into this space where you know nothing, you have no skills, and work 4 hours a week and somehow make 100, 200 grand a year is absolutely asinine, and you need to get that out of your brain right now. These people that are pushing this 4-hour work week on you are likely working 12, sometimes more than 12 hours a day to push this program onto you just to sell you the dream of the 4-hour work week. Don't believe that shit. If you're the type of person who only wants to work 4 hours a week, you are going to fail. That is the bottom line. You will not succeed in the online space. Stay at your regular job, work your 40 hours a week like you normally do, because you will not succeed in this space. There's also this idea of working smart and not hard that a lot of them push. The idea is that if you work smart, you don't have to work very hard because your work is more efficient somehow. But that is a logic fail, because if you work smart, you should be working more hours smartly to get triple or quadruple the amount of work done that people do in a regular working shift. This makes no sense. It's complete bullshit, and people, like I said, are only giving you this stuff and putting it in front of you to sell you a program or a course. Don't believe any of it. I also think that if you're only willing to work a few hours a day or a few hours a week, and you're going to blame things like you need mental health breaks or you don't want to suffer from burnout, you are just scared of doing hard work. You need to look yourself in the mirror, realize how bad you actually want to live a life of freedom, and realize that it's not going to happen with just a few hours of work a week or a day. It's going to take many years of many hours a day of work just to reach the base level of success that you want to reach. So don't believe these people online that sell you this dream of a 4-hour work week or a 4-hour work day or whatever the hell they're trying to sell you. They're just trying to sell you their program or their course. Now, I believe personally that stress tolerance is complete mind control. The more you have your stress tolerance locked in, the more you essentially have the superpower of mind control. It's absolutely insane. If you can control your stress levels and you can tell your brain to do things that it doesn't want to do and complete tasks start to finish without stopping and never having an open loop, it is essentially mind control, in my opinion. Imagine what your life would look like in 10 years if every single day you woke up and were able to complete the tasks that you know that you have to complete today for the next 10 years straight. Imagine every time that little guy in the back of your head says you need to go to the gym, you just got up and went to the gym. Imagine every time you have a craving, you just didn't act on it. Imagine where you would be at in life. You'd probably be 100 times further in life than you would be if you didn't do those things. This is exactly what stress tolerance does for you. It allows you to essentially control your mind and make it do whatever you want it to do. It's a freaking superpower, I promise. Now, imagine your life in 10 years if you acted on every single impulse and you constantly cut yourself breaks. Right? Every time that you wanted to stay in bed or you wanted to sleep in or you wanted to be lazy, you just did it. It might be what your life looks like right now, to be honest. Every time you do those things, you just tell yourself, how much harm can that do? It's only one day. It's only an extra hour. It's only one cookie. It's just one day out of the gym. But in reality, every time you do that, instead of taking one step forward, you're taking 2 steps backwards. So it's almost like you're putting yourself in a downward spiral by not having stress tolerance and not having the ability to do what your mind tells you to do. Now, you're probably asking yourself now, what can I do to improve my stress tolerance? Well, luckily for you, I came across a system a few months ago that absolutely changed my life. It allowed me to systematize every single day of my life. It allowed me to plan out my days, make sure that every task that I want to get done for the next day gets done. It allowed me to essentially just productize and systematize my life. It's been an absolute game changer for me, and I can't wait to share it with you here. What I call it the iCal hack. Now, it's a 4-step framework in order to productize your life. So essentially what it is putting your life inside of your phone calendar. Now, it sounds very simple, but I promise if you stick to it, it will absolutely change your life. So now I have a 4-step framework here on how you can successfully use your calendar on your phone to productize your life. So the first step I have for you here is to set up recurring calendar events for sleep, for food, and for non-negotiables. Now, it may seem trivial to block out time for these things because you do them every day, but if you're trying to productize your life and figure out exactly what you need to be doing every day and make sure you do it, you need to put these events in there. Especially if you run an online business and you're constantly taking sales calls or you have team calls or you have a 9-to-5 where you have to take meetings every day, then you need to have time blocked out in your calendar for this. Before I adapted the system and put these recurring calendar events in my schedule, my days were very inconsistent, right? Sometimes I skipped meals. I didn't really know what was going on. I was constantly stressed out because I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing at a certain time. When you have things blocked out in your calendar, even if it's not a meeting, it's just a 30-minute window in your calendar that no one can schedule time for, It allows you and gives you time and gives you a space to do that thing that you need to do. Now, it's important to block out your sleep because you need to be going to sleep at the same time every day and waking up at the same time every single day. Having a solid sleep hygiene and a solid sleep schedule is the #1 energy and productivity hack that you can do, in my opinion. It's the easiest one to do, and all you have to do is tell yourself to go to sleep at the same time. Having these events on your calendar, getting reminders for them, and actually committing and sticking to it is the easiest way to boost your energy levels every single day. Also, when you have these events in your calendar, you can see how much time you're essentially wasting every single day on these activities. Because of this, I have recently moved my eating schedule around a little bit. So I used to eat first thing in the morning and then go to the gym and eat throughout the day, have 4 or 5 meals. But recently I figured it's better for me. I save a lot more time if I have a smaller eating window, I guess you can say, more of like an intermittent fasting style. Not really intermittent fasting, but just kind of pushing off my meals until later in the day. So currently I start eating at 2 p.m. is when I have my first meal. It just works out for me the way that my day is scheduled right now. I get a lot more work done in the morning. I go to the gym in the morning and I have a lot more of a focused work session throughout the morning. And then I start eating later on in the day. And then I stop eating right around 8 p.m. It just works out for me. And you'll find that as you adapt this new habit, this new scheduling system, you'll find what works out for you in the day. Instead of randomly eating at, random times or going to sleep at random times and waking up at random times, when you productize your life and set deadlines and times to do these things, you'll see how much time you're actually using on these things and how you can better allocate those times for your day. Now, the second step I have for you is you need to link your sales/your meeting calendars together. This is important. So if you work a 9 to 5 or you run an online business where you are taking meetings with team or sales meetings, you need to have it so people that you're working with, your employees or your clients, can't be scheduling meetings with you during the times where you have these blocked off recurring times, your meals and your sleep and stuff like that, your gym time. It just makes it easier when you have your meeting or when you have your calendar on your iPhone linked with your Google Calendar where you schedule all your meetings at, or whatever system you use for that, then it automatically blocks off time in all the respective calendars. So you can put it in one calendar and it'll automatically create a calendar event in the other calendar, and people can't schedule times during that meeting window. This has helped me by far the most with systematizing my day. Before I had this system, before I had these events in my calendar, people were scheduling meetings with me all day long, and it was just a absolute mess trying to figure out and do the things that I have to do every single day. Go to the gym, get my meals in, go for my afternoon walk, stuff like that. When you have a calendar time blocked off for these things, people are essentially unable to talk to you during that time. It just gives you time to lock in and do what you have to do. Now, the third step I have for you, and arguably the most important, before you go to bed at night, you need to take around 10-15 minutes and plan out every single time window you have in your day tomorrow. So you should have your recurring meetings, your sleep and your food and your gym and whatever you do during every single day. But you need to also, for the next day, plan out what projects or tasks you're working on during every single block that's not a meeting window. Now, you can make these events free, so they don't have to be busy in your calendar, so people can still schedule meetings during that time if you want. If it's an important project, you should block it out as busy so people can't schedule meetings during that time. But looking at it from a holistic view, when you're sitting there at night and saying, what do I actually want to work on tomorrow? It gives you an overall view, and it gives you a soft deadline for whatever project or task you're trying to work on, and it makes you consciously think about when you want to complete that thing. So I'll put up a screenshot of my calendar from the other day as what it looked like for me for all the projects I was doing. And as you can see, every single meeting, every single time block on that calendar is blocked off for a certain project. Now, I think it's more of a subconscious thing that I've found for the most part. When you have these meetings set up in your calendar, it makes you consciously think of what you're supposed to be doing. And if you're doing something other than that, it makes you consciously choose to do something that you're not supposed to be doing. Now, that may not make a whole lot of sense. Let me re-explain that. Say you have from 10 to 12 tomorrow to work on project A. If you're not working on project A at 10 a.m., then you have to consciously think about not working on that thing and choosing not to work on it when you know you should be. And it's more of like a reality check type thing where you should be working on it, and if you're not, you almost feel bad for not working on it. I don't know what it is. I think it's subconscious, like I said, but it helps out a lot when you're trying to get important things done. Now, the fourth and final thing I have for you is you need to adjust and iterate as you develop your daily routine. This is going to take a long time to do. It took me around 6 months to get the scheduling that I have now down, and it's worked for me for the past few months here. But in the beginning, you need to assume what you're going to be doing during certain time blocks, and things will take longer and shorter than you assume. But as you see what's working and what's not working for you, you need to adjust and iterate your meeting slots. So say when you do your first version of your calendar and you want to start going to sleep at 10 p.m. and you want to wake up at 5 a.m., get 7 hours of sleep, but you do that for 2 weeks and you just can't wake up at 5 a.m. And when you do, you got to force yourself out of bed and you're not very productive and all you're thinking about is going straight back to bed. Then just switch up your calendar a little bit so you wake up later. It's not that hard to adjust it. You can make choices as you deem fit, but you need to find a system that works the best for you. If you typically have breakfast at around 8 to 9 a.m., but you find that you have to take a nap around 11 to 12 because you get that afternoon crash, then push your meals off until later in the day. That's exactly what I did, and I found that it works a lot better for my schedule. So that's pretty much all I have for you. That's how I systematize my life. That's how I have productized my entire life, my entire working schedule, and it has helped me tremendously over the past 6 months. So I wrote a full article on this. I'll drop that as a first link in the description, but do this for the next 90 days and I promise that you'll build an iron stress tolerance. So if you like that, if you want more of that, go ahead and follow me across all socials at Damien Alvarez, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.